Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it. You don't know how. You say we're taking on water, yeah, we're sinking now. You're looking all concerned, like we're gonna drown. But we both know how to swim, no worries as we'll fall now. Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow.
What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City transfer show. Today, we're going to be speaking about all things Manchester City transfers that's been happening over the last week, and also going to be speaking about all the other stories that have come out over the last week and the directions that we seem to be heading in what has been a pretty slow start to the summer transfer window. There are reasons for that. We will speak more about that in a little while. So before I do crack on with this video, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, to subscribe to my channel. As you can see now, we're less than 100 subscribers from 36,000 subscribers, hoping to hit that maybe over the weekend. That would be absolutely brilliant, so any help towards that would be much appreciated. Also, don't forget social media links. You can find them in the description or on the yellow banner if you want to go and search for me and follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. Email also in the description and on the yellow banner too, if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget as well to leave a thumbs up. We are aiming for 200 likes, so any help towards that would be great. And also don't forget, we've got the live chat running, so do get your thoughts in the live chat about transfers you wanted me to speak about and give my thoughts on, or the latest on, and I will do my best to do that for you guys. Alternatively, if you're watching this after the stream has ended, then do leave your thoughts in the comments below. That would be much appreciated. Finally, I want to say a big thank you to today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by SofaScore. Thank you very much to SofaScore for sponsoring this video. As I said, you can go and check them out. Links and details, they are in the description. It is a free app to download. They will keep you up to date with all the latest scores. You've got the European Championship starting today. Germany taking on Scotland. You can stay up to date with that game and all the other games from the Euros, the Copa America, and all the other sporting events you want to go and follow. Link is in the description. Alternatively, as I said, you can use the QR code on screen. So, introductions all done and dusted. Let's speak about transfers then. So as you can see from the video title, Bruno Guimaraes, very latest on him. We've seen from Bruno G that he may well not be joining Manchester City. That's all to do with price. £100 million. That is active for the next 10 days, that release clause, if Man City do want to sign Bruno G from Newcastle. Clubs are reluctant. Man City are reluctant. I just don't see us spending £100 million. And if Bruno G doesn't request a transfer at Newcastle, a transfer just simply isn't going to happen for him to leave Newcastle United this summer. So with that being said and done, we want to look at some alternatives, because Man City won't just have Bruno G and that's the plan. Man City will go and have contingencies, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, etc, etc. In fact, Man City's chiefs, including Pep Guardiola, they've been in Abu Dhabi this week speaking with Manchester City's owner and chairman Khaldoon Al-Mubarak about the future. So they've been digesting about the past and what's been achieved in the last season and what they're pushing for and aiming for when it comes to our transfers for this season, and maybe even an update on Pep Guardiola. I know the rumour mill is going into overdrive, but in there, Man City will have been speaking about players that they want to target, players they want to bring in, players that could strengthen our squad, who could add something maybe a little bit different or freshen things up a little bit, and that's the direction that City will be looking in. Now, this won't be the last time I say this. I'll say this quite regularly on my Manchester City transfer updates, but Man City more than likely will need to sell players first before they start bringing players in. That's not just to do with financial fair play and knowing about our net spend and the money that we're bringing in, so we know what we can spend to bring players into the club. It's also to do with PSR, which is why Manchester City right now aren't doing business. Normally you would see Manchester City doing a little bit of business right now in June. Ideally, clubs would want to be getting things in the pipeline before the European Championships and the Copa America start. It hasn't happened. It isn't going to happen because PSR is saying that isn't going to happen. It's not going to happen until July 1st, when the year clocks over to 2024-25 season, which happens upon the expiry of the contracts on June 30th, and the football calendar here in Europe, certainly in England, runs from June 30th through to June 30th. And so we're currently 16 days away from that, so I don't expect there to be much business to be done, but Man City will be getting all of their feelers done out there, and to me, I think this is probably the most interesting part of the transfer window, because it keeps things so open when it comes to bringing players in. Manchester City will put all these feelers out there. They will be speaking with lots of different parties, with lots of different names being put out there. And to me, it is the fun and games of the transfer window, because it is, to me anyway, the soap opera of football, of sports. It's what we look forward to, freshening up the squad, bringing new players in. Who we're going to spend big money on to bring in, who's going to be leaving the club, what's everyone's opinions. It's all fun and games. Transfers, got to love it. As I said, we'll be keeping you guys up to date with my daily Manchester City transfer update. So Bruno G, I'm not so certain about, which means there are other players being linked with a move to Manchester City. So I can see some names already pinging through on the chat, so thank you very much. Anushman getting in there first, speaking about Musiala, the guy that I decided to put in the thumbnail. Now, Musiala, very expensive transfer. It all depends on if he wants to leave Bayern Munich. But to me, players like Musiala, players like Florian Wirtz, these are the prime central midfielders. Midfielders that if Man City want to spend big money this summer, they're the players that I would be looking towards and doing everything that I could to bring these players in, because these are, to me, generational talents. Players that have got a good 10-15 years in the tank. It gives Manchester City a new spine in central midfield, and it allows Manchester City to freshen up and build the squad around these new players. Cast your minds back 13 months ago, and we're speaking about Jude Bellingham, and everyone was getting very excited about Jude Bellingham joining Manchester City. It did not happen. And because it did not happen, Manchester City had to do something a little bit different. And last summer, I'm not saying that Man City did things incorrectly. Man City did what they needed to do for the squad. They brought in Matheus Nunes. They brought in Mateo Kovacic. Both very good players on their day. Kovacic in particular, I think he's a brilliant player, fantastic squad player, provides immense depth to Manchester City's midfield. Now, he's been linked with a move to Saudi Arabia, and he's also been linked today with a move to Turkey, which I'll speak more about in my daily transfer update tomorrow. But I think Man City need to be doing everything they can to keep hold of Kovacic. We lose Kovacic, you could be looking at a little domino effect of transfers. That starts the little conveyor belt of players leaving, players coming in, players leaving, players coming in. And Manchester City, they've got to be very careful when it comes to these transfers and these central midfielders in particular, because they're so important to the style of play that we want to play, so important to Pep Guardiola's system as well. And when you're bringing players in, I think more so than any other position, your central midfield has got to be right. And I'm not convinced that Man City last summer got it right. I think it was a blow losing Bellingham, good signing in Kovacic. Nunez, I think he's a good player, really good player. I think, he walked into a lot of starting 11s in the Premier League. I think there's options out there that are better than Matheus Nunes. There are rumours going round of Man City maybe getting their money back with offers coming in from Saudi Arabia. I would like to see Nunez given another season to showcase what he can do, because I don't think it's fair to judge a player based on one season. I think you need 2 seasons to adapt under Pep's ruling at Manchester City. However, you have to talk business, and I think if a club came in and offered City's money back, I think City would be foolish not to take up that offer. And Man City can then use that money to invest and spend a little bit more. Because it's quite clear that Man City want to be spending around 60 to 80 million pounds to sign a central midfielder. And the players that were being quoted, Bruno G, Dani Olmo, good players. But I'm not entirely convinced that the generational talents that are going to push Manchester City to that next level. They're not Musiala. They're not Florian Wirtz, and to me, they're the players that you should be looking at. And if Man City can afford and fund for a Bruno G move, and City are prepared to spend upwards of £70 million, you sell Nunez for, £50 million. All of a sudden, you've got an extra £50 million in the transfer kitty. We could go out there and invest it elsewhere in the squad. I think Man City, though, if we want a central midfielder and you want a world-class player, you're going to have to pay a really big fee to make that happen. But someone made a good point. I can't remember who it was. They were speaking about City's midfielders. Your Fernandinhos, your David Silvas, your Yaya Toures. You just cannot pick up these kind of players for the fees that we've picked up for them in the past and bring them into the squad. You have to pay a big premium now. There's a reason why Man City are asking for near enough £100 million for Kevin De Bruyne with 1 year left on his contract, because that's just how important he is. And if City want to go out there and sign a Musiala or a Wirtz, they're going to have to spend big money to make it happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think that's what City should be angling towards, if I'm being completely honest. So, we'll see. Nico, thanks for tuning in. Manchester Blue, thanks for tuning in as well. Says, the Bruno deal nearly done. Come on, keep up. It's not nearly done. It's hearsay, rumours, transfer rumours, just the mill just going into overdrive with people thinking and saying that they're in the know and they're not. I've been doing these City transfer stuff now for 7 years, and I have learned one important lesson, and that is to know what sources are reliable and what sources are not, and which sources to listen to who are telling you the information. And if you listen to the big names, the important sources, the ones who know and get all the information, who are incredibly accurate, all signs point towards Bruno G at this moment in time not being close to joining Manchester City. Could change in the spur of the moment, as is the fun of the transfer opera, but I don't see it happening. And I think Man City, they're going to have to be smart in this window. They're going to have to go out there and be prudent in certain positions, have plenty of options, and be prepared to settle upon the directions that they want to go in and stick to it. I think City are going to have to be brave in this window. City want to go out and sign a generational talent, do everything you can to do so. I know there's a lot of pressure. Real Madrid have done it. Mbappe's in, Alaba's in. They're making moves in the transfer window, and Man City on a European pedigree aren't going to want to be left behind, which means you've got to go out there and bring in the biggest and best. It's just how the nature of the beast is, because if we don't, other clubs will, and they'll be playing catch-up. Now, Man City are often so good at identifying other players that they can make even better, making these players that are very good into excellent players into the very best players in the world. Phil Foden, great example. Kevin De Bruyne came on leaps and bounds. Ilkay Gundogan. I'm confident they'll be able to do it with Erling Haaland and co as well. There's plenty of good options that City can go at, but I just think that Man City here, it's so unusual because I don't know what direction they're going to go in. People, I'm seeing a few people there just commenting, saying, Man City, have a look at Joshua Kimmich, and I'm not sure Joshua Kimmich is the kind of player going off his age that City would be looking for, but I do think he'd be a good option, versatile, give City a good options in the squad. And to be honest, Rico Lewis being linked with a loan move away. Sergio Gomez looks set for a loan move to Real Sociedad, so we need options. You know, you can't just take a already stretched thin squad, make it thinner and hope for the best. Calvin Phillips, João Cancelo, what's happening with these players? And it's not until we get clarity on the future of these players will you start to see Manchester City then start to rub their hands and say, do you know what? Now we're going to dip into the market. As I said, I just don't think that's going to happen until July. This June, these next couple of weeks, might be quite frustrating for some. I think they're the most interesting because it's where City are going to be getting linked left, right and centre with players. It's where I'm going to be able to identify news sources and whether they're going to be reliable or not. You put your name on the line when you're reporting on things, and we will see the direction. I always say the summer's going to be long. Anything can happen, and it is very much the case. What Man City don't want to do, though, and we've not done it yet, and I don't see us doing it again this summer, is you don't want to dip right to the end of the window, panic buy. Clubs know that you're panic buying and just go out there, charge a premium on these players, and you've got a choice, either be left short and don't bring these players in, settle for someone who you didn't want for a cheaper price, or you've got to pay that premium. And these are the decisions that City have to think about. Because it's not just central midfield that could be a problem. We don't know what's happening with Bernardo. It looks like he's going to be staying. No phone calls have been made to Manchester City right now. So it looks like Bernardo stays, which is great news. We also don't know what's going to be happening elsewhere in the squad. You know, we keep getting linked with centre-backs. No idea why we keep being linked with centre-backs. We're stacked in centre-backs. If there's one position that we don't need, it's a centre-back, which naturally means Man City will be making a move for a centre-back. I also think it's worthwhile City having a little think, maybe not making a move in this window, but something to think about, and that is the future of Kyle Walker. We've got a very affordable release clause at the moment with Jeremy Frimpong. He is a player I would love at Man City. I know you guys are going to be saying he's not a right-back. I don't need you to tell me he's not a right-back. I know he's not a right-back. He can zoom up and down that wing. I just think he'd be so perfect for Pep's system that he wants to play, going with 3 centre-backs or just 2 centre-backs and have the wing-backs really stretch that pitch and have the wingers cut and invert in, which I think brings the very best out of the likes of Phil Foden. I think it could potentially suit Jack Grealish. Jeremy Doku started to shine as well. You know, these are important players that City need to be looking towards. Savio, being brought in, of course, from Estac Trois, could be a really good option. I'd like to see him in pre-season. We'll see if he does end up doing that. But if you're wanting other options, Gvardiol was our option last summer, and potentially Frimpong could be someone that we have a good look at for this summer. I think for an affordable price, he's absolutely brilliant. He had a cracking season with Bayer Leverkusen. I'm not too sure if I see him leaving. I don't see anyone leaving Leverkusen now that Xabi Alonso has decided to stay for at least another season. And he's been linked with the City job this week as well. Should Pep Guardiola not sign that new contract? Rumours are saying that he has signed the contract. Again, they're just rumours, hearsay. I'm not too sure what's happening until we get a little bit more reliability. It is difficult to predict. Garner in the room. Love that. Thanks for tuning in. Right, okay, just heading to the chat. Seeing some talk. Gary, thanks for tuning in. Says, Bruno, if he wants to be a Newcastle legend for the tune, but nobody knows what the future holds. I think Newcastle have got to be doing everything they can to be keeping hold of their biggest and best players, if I'm being honest. They finished in the Champions League in the previous season. They've dipped and they've ended up getting no European football for next season. They need to try and keep hold of their important players, add a little bit more quality to their squad, and see if they've got something to build upon for next season. Because, Tottenham, Manchester United, Chelsea, none of these teams are perfect. Aston Villa struggling a little bit as well with PSR. There's opportunities there. I can see maybe a little gap appearing between City, Arsenal and Liverpool and the rest, but we will see. And again, a lot depends on the 115 charges with Manchester City, which again further complicates transfers because players before they sign for us will want clarity on that, and players wanting to leave will want clarity upon that as well. So we will see. The only other player that we've been getting linked with, because it has been a bit of a quiet week, is Dani Olmo. I'm seeing that in the chat as well, asking, is he good? Is he better than Bruno G? The problem problem that you've got with Olmo is his injuries, as being correctly pointed out by John. It is his injuries. He is very injury prone. He does 1 or 2 games and he's injured for 1 or 2 games. He does 3-4 games and then he's out for a month or 2. It's just plagued with injuries, and it's not just this season that's happened. It's happened in other seasons as well. So it's very difficult. I think Dani Olmo would be a good option. Affordable price, 60 million euros. Talking what, 50, 55 million quid. But I'm not sure, guys, if I'm being honest. Creatively, he's a very good player. I think there's another player that's played for Leipzig this season that I would prefer, and his name's Xavi Simons, plays for Paris Saint-Germain. I don't know how available he is for transfer, but I certainly think if I was to chuck out a name and someone to contemplate, I think Xavi Simons, I think he could have a really good European Championships with the Netherlands. Certainly a player to keep an eye on for the future. I'm not too sure if City are going to make a move or not, but I think he'd certainly be a player I'd consider. For Dani Olmo, I'm not going to turn my nose up because he's a really good player. He's a very creative player, very gifted with the football. He's got a great eye for a pass. He's good with his assists. If we can get him injury-free, I think he'd be a brilliant signing for a good price as well. My concerns are his injuries. If it was 20, 30 million pound, I'd say you take the punt like you have with Kovacic, because he's had his fair share of injuries, but you're talking double that price to bring him in, and there aren't going to be any negotiations with Leipzig. We know that from last summer with Joško Gvardiol, so very interesting, very interesting. As I said, there isn't really too much else to talk about. There aren't really that many players being linked with a move to City, and I suspect that's probably going to be the theme for the next couple of weeks whilst we're still under the 2023-2024 season with PSR. Once them shackles come off, I've got a feeling that this transfer window is going to go boom, in particular with all the biggest and best Premier League teams with millions of pounds to spend. What's going to happen with Julian Alvarez? He's been getting linked with moves in the Premier League. Is City going to want to sell to another Premier League team? If that is the case, who are we going to bring in? How much money are we going to get for him? You know, very interesting situations to keep an eye on. Ederson, we don't know what's happening there. We don't know what's happening with Walker. Gomez looks like he's going on loan. Rico Lewis apparently available for loan. The doubts of Kovacic and Nunes in the squad as well, with them being linked with moves to Saudi Arabia. And also hearing rumours of Turkey coming in as well. We don't know what's happening with Alvarez. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. We'll see what happens. Going to be a very exciting summer. As I said, expect some outs before the ins. City will start starting to be linked with players. It will get very interesting. And of course, I will keep you guys up to date daily with my Manchester City transfer update. So, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. John says, any news on Calvin Phillips? Not a peep. I presume that loan deal, I've heard rumours, but they're just hearsay about Fulham. Don't know if they're going to make a move or not. We'll see, but good option, I think, if Fulham do decide to make a move. As I said, it was unclear if they were going to make a loan or a permanent move. I'd prefer a permanent move, but I think City will struggle to shift Calvin Phillips on permanently. If they do, I think that would be a brilliant bit of business. If they can get a good fee for him, 20, 30 million pound, I'd be very happy with that. We'll see. Ederson in midfield, well, that might be what it takes to keep him here. There we go. Right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It is much appreciated. As I said, do leave a thumbs up. 200 likes is the aim. Get your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe as well if you're new around here. I'll be back again tomorrow with another daily Manchester City transfer update. Devious. Lookman, that would be a brilliant shout as a backup striker. How good was he for Atalanta? Particularly in that Europa League final. On fire. Sensational. That's a shout, you know. Anyway, get your thoughts in the comments below. Do subscribe. Social media links, they're in the description if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And finally, do go and check out today's video sponsor, which is brought to you by SofaScore. You can go and check them out. Free app to download. Links and details there in the description. Going to run my promo video for that right now, and then we'll end the stream there. So I will see you guys tomorrow for the next daily Manchester City transfer update. Thank thank you very much to SofaScore for sponsoring this video. As I said, do go and check them out, and I will see you tomorrow for the next Manchester City video. So I've been JSGC. Hope everyone is safe and well. Have a brilliant Friday. If you're watching the European Championships tonight, you have got Germany taking on Scotland. Football back. Got to love it. Anyway, see you soon. Peace. Ciao for now.